your boy Travis Kinley coming back to you with another one. I am at a Petro in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Got a pickup somewhere, I don't know, 15 miles away. I think it's Hanover, maybe. Can't really remember right now. But I am not on the gig right now. Gig is, we're not gigging until maybe a few more weeks. So I decided with my time, because I just left the house before the last gig, so I don't need to go home right after the gig, I decided I'm going to run the Northeast, kind of upper Midwest states until it is time to go to the house. Did make a slight change to that. Last load, I booked 2 or 3 loads in the past couple hours, and the last one ends in Kentucky just because it paid well, and I mean, why not? It's still up there. A lot of great freight comes out of Kentucky. But nevertheless, I'm kind of staying up here, because the rates are great up here, man. Rates have, real quick, rates have dropped a little bit, but it's really just dropped back down to normal, right? That is what I've received from so many veteran drivers, as well as just kind of researching and looking it up myself. It's really just dropped back down. It's just dropped back down to normal right now. Listen, man, I hate to get off topic because I want to get to this IFTA, but please ignore all of the people who are raising these extreme red flags of a recession, okay? It's not happening, dude. Is fuel high? Sure, fuel is high. Are we experiencing this great recession right now? Y'all, it's not happening. It's not happening. Rates have went back down to normal. Yes, I've seen some cheap freight, 99 cents, but dude, it's not like that's the only option. Come on, man. I'm booking $4 freight right now. $4 and $5 freight up here where I am. Okay? There's a lot of $2 freight, a lot of much more $3 freight, but you can find a whole bunch of $2 freight all around, I don't know, the South, Texas area, the states above Vegas, outside of Vegas, Arizona, all those, there's $2 around there, but there's plenty of $3, $4, and $5 freight to go around. There's plenty of $3 freight. And there's enough $4 and $5 freight that if you get yourself in the right area, you can work it. That is what I'm doing right now. Plan on going home in about a week and a half, something like that. So I figure I'll work this area, make some money, and go to the house, take a break, and then get back to work after that. Nevertheless, I had a conversation with a man named Scott from Trucking Tips and Tricks from the Experts. I think it's Trucking Tips and Tricks from the Experts. Had a conversation with Scott. It started on a post and then he took it to a message. I really appreciate you, Scott. And I have not read your book yet. I got a book that Scott wrote, an ebook. It looks filled with great information. I've skimmed through it. It's 15 pages of a future larger volume book, but it's just 15 pages, but it's full of information. I'm going to give a review on his book pretty soon in the next couple weeks or something like that. May wait until I have home, when I have more home time, when I have more mental space, but got in a conversation with Scott, and I was asking Scott a question that I've asked many people. Over the past year and a half or so, I've asked many people, and Scott is the first one to have opened my eyes. If you've known me, especially since the Prime days, you've probably either had this conversation with me, witnessed me have this conversation in front of somebody else. I've had this conversation a number of times. Does paying attention to IFTA costs really matter? Does that really matter? My argument has always been, it doesn't matter because accounts will be reconciled at the end of the quarter. Quarterly, basically it's according to your mileage and fuel mileage, but they basically account for all of the miles you ran in all of the various states, and they make sure that you pay the appropriate taxes according to the mileage that you ran in the various states and your fuel mileage. It's divided by your fuel mileage, if I'm correct. Nevertheless, so I say, why should I pay attention to IFTA costs if they're just going to reconcile the account? I'll spend all of this time paying attention to IFTA costs, and then at the end of the quarter, they're just going to reconcile the account and either give me money back or I'm going to have to pay them. There was the point. Just don't pay attention to it and wait until the account's reconciled. Sure, it might matter to either someone who books loads according to IFTA costs, but if you're not booking your loads according to which states have the higher cost and which have the lower cost, then it doesn't matter. It might matter in the short term, but in the long term, it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter because they're going to reconcile the accounts. That is what I continued to drive home to Scott. Scott kept responding to me because his thesis statement initially on the post was, if you don't pay attention to IFTA costs, you cannot shop for fuel effectively. And I was like, that is a bold and absurd statement. And, you know, this is how I get when I debate with people. I'm not, you know, I do everything I can not be disrespectful, and sometimes I can get a little strong, and I apologize when I do, you know. Nevertheless, that was what my opinion was. That is a bold and absurd statement. This lady just circled this huge 150 spot truck parking stop. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. 150 parking spot truck stop. Did a full circle just to come back around and doggone park HCB. So that was his thesis statement. You cannot shop for fuel effectively if you're not paying attention to IFTA costs. I was like, that is bold and absurd. Because of course you can, because they're just going to reconcile the account. So you'll spend all your time paying attention to all these costs, and then you're going to land in the same place I landed. But that is not true. And now I know, thanks to Scott's knowledge and patience. I really should say wisdom. It's technically wisdom. Thanks to Scott's wisdom and patience. Double hiccup. Thanks to Scott's wisdom and patience, now I understand. And as a matter of fact, when Scott first sent me, she's going way too far, dude. When Scott first sent me the message that opened my eyes, I didn't respond to him for like 10, 15 minutes. Because it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And I was like, I had to think about it. I walked inside, got something to eat, and I'm thinking while I'm eating, I'm running scenarios through my head. Now I'm playing with the Landstar app, because with the Landstar app, you can look at the pump price without the discount, with Landstar's discount, with the IFTA cost deducted. You can change how you see it. And I thought about it, and I finally said, he's right. I'm going to tell you why Scott's right. Because I think it's important. He's got a great point. And it's not difficult to pay attention to IFTA costs. I'm going to tell you why it's important. I'm going to tell you how you can pay attention to it. If you don't know already. I'm making this video. I'm going to post it in a group I mentioned because I love to concede a point. I love to concede. Because these hiccups was not planned during this video. Hey, how are you? In my concession is the moment where I learned. Happens in my moment of concession. When I got Scott's message that helped me realize it, that was when my learning started. It took me 10, 15 minutes to respond to him. And that was my learning moment, period. And I said, he's right, dude. And I rushed to tell him. I was like, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Because I've talked to so many people about it, and no one's just taking the time, patience to really explain and drive it home. The reason Scott is right is because Scott is not concerned with how much he pays in IFTA. He is concerned with the actual cost per gallon of fuel. So because a lot of people were on his post making the same argument I did. Their account's going to be reconciled. They're going to pay you the extra back, or you're going to have to pay. It doesn't matter. He's not concerned with his IFTA costs. He is concerned with the cost of fuel. In reference to his argument, he is concerned with the cost of a gallon of fuel. How do I know the cost of just the gallon of fuel, not including the cost of the IFTA tax? Is I have to deduct it from whatever the price says on the pump or in your app or whatever. Here's an example. State A, State B. Price on the pump, $5 a gallon in both states. In one state, the tax is 20 cents. In another state, the tax is 30 cents. At the end of the quarter, the IFTA cost 20 and 30 cents will be reconciled, meaning you're going to zero out no matter what. Theoretically, right? No one trusts the government entities. I get it. You're going to zero out no matter what. So the 20 and 30 cent tax will zero out no matter what. So deduct it. Act like it doesn't exist. Now, in state A, you're paying $4.80 a gallon, and in state B, you're paying $4.70 a gallon. But you will not know that unless you pay attention to the cost of the IFTA tax. No one's taking the time to explain this to me. I argued with Johnson's logic about it. I don't remember having a real debate or in-depth conversation, but I've talked to No Luck Trucking about it. I may have talked to No Hippie about it. I've commented on YouTube videos. I've had conversations around the Prime Terminal. Why does it matter? What does it matter? Because at the end of the quarter, part of the pump price, what you see when you stop and look out your window, part of that will be reconciled. It's going to zero out. So if it's going to zero out at the end of the quarter, you should pay attention before you put it in your truck. Do you see what I'm saying? State A, 20 cents. State B, 30 cents. The 20 and the 30 cent tax will be reconciled. It will zero out. So zero it out before you put it in your truck. Because if you fuel at one place, you may be paying 10 cents more per gallon of fuel. You see what I'm saying? Here's another way to think about it. If you get to the end of the quarter, after the tax has been reconciled, then consider how much did I actually pay for fuel. Two drivers can pay different amounts at the end of the quarter, even if they run the exact same route. They run the exact same route, they can pay different amounts at the end of the quarter. It depends, assuming they cross state lines and things of that nature. But if they're running the exact same route, they can pay different amounts at the end of the quarter because, not in IFTA, but they will pay different amounts of fuel. Their ultimate net fuel price will be different. It'll be different. Does paying attention to the cost of your IFTA taxes really matter? Yes, it matters. Scott, now I've been doing it. Every single time I've fueled, I've been doing it. Now I've been paying attention. Specifically, if you're a driver like me, right? Like recently I did Vegas to, where did I drop off just now? I don't even remember, dog. I ain't even gonna front with you. Maryland, somewhere in Maryland. Vegas to somewhere in Maryland. Started with a W. So I did Vegas to somewhere in Maryland. So it really matters when I'm thinking about fueling near state lines. Coming out of Vegas, I remember I was fueling near New Mexico and Texas. I think it was New Mexico and Texas. Pretty sure. Whatever's after New Mexico, I think it's Texas. Pretty sure it goes Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma. Nevertheless, right after, I remember being on the line. It was either Arizona, New Mexico, or New Mexico, Texas. I remember being on the line thinking, which one's better to fuel? I remember the difference between Arizona and New Mexico was something like 5 or 6 cents, but I was paying attention and then actually deducting it to see what is the actual pump price, what is the actual raw fuel price, the price of just the fuel alone, because at the end of the quarter, it will matter. They might both say $5, but that's not $5 for the gallon of fuel. That is $5 for the gallon of fuel and your IFTA tax. But the IFTA tax is going to be reconciled. He's totally right. Shout out to Scott Armstrong. Shout out to his ebook with a bunch of information that I can't wait to give you the review on, as well as guide you on how you can receive this book. He's given me permission to do that. Shout out to this group. I'm excited to be a part of the group. Scott, I know I hadn't been too talkative. It's been a little bit of a crazy few days. I hadn't slept well. Something woke me up 2 days in a row, beeping in the truck, it's the inverter. So shout out to everybody. No Hippie, I know I ain't called you back. It's because the same reason I hadn't talked to Scott. Listen, I just really wanted to tell you guys that. Pay attention. How can you pay attention to it? There are apps. If you're a Landstar driver, you already know. Landstar 1, bottom right-hand corner, click more, click find fuel stops, and then, hit a fuel stop, scroll to the bottom, and then, the 2 check marks. Examine your discount, and then deduct the IFTA fuel tax. If not, Scott also knows a specific app that will tell you how much just the gallon of fuel is, you can deduct the IFTA cost. All right. That's it. Find your own app. You're going to have to do some of the legwork. I'm getting out of here. I got to go do some laundry. I want to eat and just kind of hang out, man. I got the rest of the day off. You already know what the motto is. Work hard, play hard, sleep hard, find you somebody to love. I love y'all. Don't forget, it's not about what you believe. It's all about why you believe it. Live free.